Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Trekking Across the Universe. We are going to be going over Star Wars: The Bad Batch, the season finale, to season three, as well as the series finale. It is the cavalry has arrived, so we're going to get to it real quick. Today is Cinco de Mayo, ladies and gentlemen, May 5th, 2024, and what a glorious day it is. And Mother's Day is next week, so we ask you all to remember our mom is all of family members, those that are still with us and those that are not. And don't forget, head on over to ndbmedia.net so you can stay up on everything that is going on. Folks, there's a lot to go over. I'm Roger. You know how it is. I want to introduce over to my left, Darth. How you doing, Darth? How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
This is the May. I love it. I like it. And over to his left, Bobby Nash. Bobby, how are you?
I am good. Good to be here.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Bobby.
it's been a busy weekend. Yes.
Yes, it has a lot of stuff going on. And just only by video image beneath me. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Doing good. I hope I'm not going to have some internet problems. I had
Hopefully
some
not.
weird stuff go on right at the beginning, so I'm hoping that is not going to be the case.
Then that means we have to get to it. Omega, how you doing, Omega?
I'm doing great.
All right. Folks, as I so skillfully explained to my co host, we have to give credit where credit is due. And I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to ask you guys to play along with me. Obviously, Dave Filoni, thank you for doing this, along with Jennifer Corbett. I believe they are the two creators of this program. And if not, I'm sure either Darth or Michael or Omega will correct me on air. And we got to give credit where credit is due. We did this last time. I want to do it again. D. Bradley Baker, the voice of the Bad Batch. Kind of thought there would be different voices, but no, it's only one. Michelle Ang as Omega, and here it is, folks. There. Oh, D. Bradley Baker also did the voice of Batcher, Clone Prisoners, Vic, Commander Scorch, and the Clone X Troopers. Gwendolyn Yo did Nala Se, Helen Sadler, Dr. Skulder, Ivan Sinitsyn, SP-32 or Jax, Jeff Boehm, Lieutenant Novitz, Medical Assistant in Stormtrooper 3, Jimmy Simpson did Dr. Royce Hemlock, Keisha Castle Hughes, Emery Carr, Matthew M. Garcia, Stormtrooper number 2, Naya Singh Padilla, SP-39 or Sammy, Noshir Dalal, Rampart and Stormtrooper, Olwyn M. Whalen, SP-54 Ava, Shelby Young, Barn, a Captain Bragg, and Nanny Droid. And of course, there's a ghostly image in the background. I'm so sorry. Stephen Stanton played Governor Tarkin and Stormtrooper number 1. Wow. I'm sure there are others that we have to give credit to. The score was by Kevin Kiner, Sean Kiner, and Deanna Kiner. Oh, I hadn't seen a family trio like that, which is kind of neat. Oh, and I did not give a shout out to our openings composer, the NDB Media theme, Robert Summers Potterton III, and the intro itself was designed by Jag. Thank you. And our first Tony Konopka. Wow. Man, that was a bunch of house cleaning. Bobby, this was the final episode to the Bad Batch. The Cavalry has arrived. What are your first thoughts about the episode?
I was stunned that they were all alive at the end of it. Because this is an era where, ideally, the Empire is about to reach its zenith of, getting their power. All these, they're wiping out all of their enemies. So the fact that they all survived was a big shock to me. And I think they knew that we were thinking that going in, because they played up a lot. Somebody's about to die. Like I worried about Wrecker, especially the entire episode.
Yes.
So yeah, so that was a surprise, and then seeing the jump ahead at the end to Omega growing up and joining the rebellion, I thought was a nice way to end the show. I guess it also means we could still see them again.
Yeah, I think so. Bobby, thank you. Darth.
I think they capped it off really well. as I was anxious last week, they did come through and give us almost an hour. Total runtime
Yes.
51 minutes.
Yeah.
Anytime they have the Zilla Beast in there, I love it. It's like it makes me think of the Loch Ness Monster. So the clone Zilla Beast coming back was great. Knowing the Batcher was safe and sound back home was good. And it was a great little adventure for Omega and the kids, and seeing Emery or Dr. Carr come to their aid when knowing that she's didn't know there was kids in the basement. So it was good, and yeah, I gotta agree with Bobby. The last four episodes, I really thought Wrecker was going to get it.
Thanks, Darth. Omega.
I swear, for an animated show, I didn't realize I could have and go through as many emotions as I went through in that final. I was either super anxious, my anxiety was on overload. I swear to God, I was waiting for either Wrecker or Crosshair or both to go down. And then the whole thing, it was just anxious. And then I started crying when Nalase, we lost her. And then at the end, everybody's all together as a family. And I started bawling even worse because it was a happy ending. So they did an extremely well job with that.
Mhm.
So.
To cut in, I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't a shot of Echo with them. And there may have been, but I missed it. But this is now, I think this is going to be called a family portrait, right?
Pretty much.
Thank you, Omega. Michael.
Well, yeah, I don't have much to add, but I said last week I didn't know how they were going to wrap it up. And they did, with less than an hour. It shocked me. I agree with Liz about all the emotions. But I will say something just because Gina couldn't make it tonight.
Yeah.
It was dark lit.
Dark.
I mean, I was just going, I can't believe all this is dark. And I'm saying, who is that there? What is going on? I'm sorry.
Well, it was nighttime.
Well, yeah, but they just like to do it to us.
Yeah.
Us old people that have trouble seeing anyway. And we have to turn off all the other lights in the room.
I do want to say that I was pleasantly, shockingly surprised. I don't know if the internet even had anyone at 50% or greater when it came to all the guesses. There were so many guesses as to what was going to happen and to how it was going to happen. I don't know if anyone even got close. I called a few. I was 100% wrong on all of them. Gleefully, when it comes to entertainment, I was stunned. Everything all of you said. Yeah.
What's wrong?
Oh, no. Everything all of you said just a few moments ago, I agree with.
Okay.
No, Omega,
I
thank
thought you meant for the whole season. For the whole season.
No.
Wrong.
So I don't. Oh, okay. In that, yes. Now knowing what you mean there. Oh, yeah. But everything all of you said, yes, and yes. And I don't want to, just go ahead and repeat other stuff. All I can say is that there were specific moments that did stand out for me. And I don't know if all of you had noticed over the last few episodes, there were certain instances that happened, and I would compare it to a TV show or a movie. And God, let me tell you, kids, there were other moments right away. I'm going to tell you, it was kind of funny. But when the Zillow started stomping on the stormtroopers, Jurassic Park 2, when the Tyrannosaurus Rex was tearing apart San Diego, and of course other scenes. There was another image where you could see like the trees and the birds moving in the background. That was another movie, and I forget which one I gave it, but there were quite a few. I wish I would have highlighted
the Zillow coming out of the underground, very much reminiscent of the recent Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah, it was.
Well, right before he kills Bryan Cranston, he comes up out of the
Yeah.
Bobby, thank you. I was thinking of that, but then I instead chose the dragon from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows when it gets out of Gringotts vault. So that's how I compared it. They were just images that stood out. And I have to tell you, there were specific phrases, as you know, I like paying attention to. But the image that is probably going to stand out for me for a while is this one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They will not fail. They're going to be there. And Crosshair tells him, I cannot hit, that. I may hit Omega. And Hunter doesn't flinch. And he says, she'll know what to do. And she does. And she pulls it. And Crosshair, bam, the $1 million shot. Just nailed it. And Hunter nailed Hemlock. It was unreal. It was tense. I didn't know how it was going to end. That's going to be there. And folks, I'm jumping ahead. But if I did get a tiny emotional, Omega crosses the ramp, the bridge, whatever it was. And they're both there, still on their knees. And Omega goes straight to Crosshair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that a $1 million payoff or what? She loves them both. They're all clones. But she zeroed in on Crosshair and gave him the hug first. And then to Hunter. And it was, oh my goodness. I'm not going to say I teared up. I'm getting a little emotional right now because it's, what a change for Crosshair from the very beginning to where we end up. Wow.
So
Wow.
different. So different.
Wow.
The moment that got me was the "You're our child." Right before
Yeah.
Omega leaves, I'm no longer a kid, but you'll always be our kid. Which is always funny because it wasn't this episode; it was the last episode where Omega reminds them that she's actually older than they are.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Oh my goodness. There was okay, here's another one of my movies when after the droid disables the doctor, which I thought was great. Omega got the doctor to, give her the shot, and then they all get into the tubes or whatever. The Great Escape. That's what I was calling that scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last week I was thinking it was Die Hard because she's crawling through there by herself.
Yes. Okay. Now there's another scene a little bit later where they're in the tunnels and they're crawling. I'm like, okay, that was Star Trek First Contact, Picard and Lily. So yes, that's even better. I like that one. But I'm going to start going through my notes. There was a moment that really stood out near the end, and I believe it was. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna find it, but yeah, it was on page 3 or 4. I'm going to have to get to it in a little bit. Oh, when Hemlock is there and he's caught Omega and what Nalisay did. She blew up the vault. That was great. And then Hemlock says, so what? I have you. And Omega says, you are forgetting one thing. I have them. And she was talking about the clones. And CF-99 rise up. And Wrecker, as hurt as he was, just storms that operative and takes him over the ledge. And he takes him over the ledge and distracted the troopers. And then Echo took out the other ones. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. Everyone else, come on, get in on it, please.
So-
Those are some of my scenes. I'll have a few others. We're going to be all over the place on this episode.
Just before that, did
Oh, okay.
anyone else wonder if Hunter or Crosshair had been any successful conditioning done? That there was a chance that they were going to be
I was wondering.
not on her
I
side.
was.
If it
I
wasn't the last episode, I probably would have. Knowing that we're almost out of time, I wasn't expecting it.
I agree with Bobby. I wasn't expecting it. I think he was just
Mhm.
screwing with them, torturing them, and say, "Hey, this is just a tiny taste of what's coming."
Yeah, I tell you what I've thought about. A buddy of mine and I too have discussed this all season because they kept mentioning tech, and they kept mentioning that they're bringing clones back to life and making them these operatives. And then we see one get his helmet knocked off. We were expecting to find out that it's tech,
Yes.
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
we were
and
too.
I'm kind of glad they didn't. But yeah, we just kept waiting for that shoe to drop, and I'm kind of glad they didn't because I think it would have been a little bit of a cheap sentiment, but they made you think it was coming.
Oh, I think we all believed it, right? Michael,
Yeah.
Darth, and Omega.
Oh
We were
yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
it even in the last episode. So that is a major guess that the internet, swing and a miss. Everyone
Yeah,
thought that
but they
one of
were
the
because
operatives.
they were very conscious of keeping tech in our thoughts because they kept showing the goggles,
Goggles.
and they would mention tech, and then they would mention bringing people back to life, and it's like they were laying all the red herring groundwork for it. So they really fooled us all. So which is good.
You know,
yeah, they still really were kind of vague though
Hmm.
on the on the troopers. I mean, I had said that they all sounded like Crosshair, on the those commando guys, and they still, all of them kind of look different. I was actually even expecting them all to be like copies of Clone Force 99.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because I mean, they are all clones, and I got to give D. Bradley Baker a lot of credit. There are times where you don't, I forget, especially with all the other clones, the standard clones. Yes, they all sound alike, but with the Bad Batch, they don't all, Wrecker and Hunter are talking to each other, and they're not the same voice, but it's the
no.
same guy.
Yeah.
I would love I would love for them to show some like behind the scenes footage of him recording. Because I just have this image of him there, just going from one voice to the other with,
Oh, yeah.
just like, no, no, no,
Like Robin Williams.
yeah. And just watching, I would love to see video just watching him play all these characters interacting with each other. I bet that's some amazing video.
Bobby, switching gears. I'm not sure who it is on Futurama. The one that does the voiceover. I don't know if it's Dom DiMaggio, and I'm sorry, but there is one that he does all of the lines going from voice to voice, back and forth. He does that,
Yeah.
and I've
There've been
seen it, and it's unreal. Omega.
yeah, there have been a few that have done that. Like you mentioned, Robin Williams. There was a very short-lived. Sorry, and this will be a quick aside. There was a short-lived Justice League series called Justice League Action,
Hmm.
and there's one episode where the only actor is Mark Hamill, and he played every character, and so it
Wow.
was all these villains that he voiced were kidnapping Mark Hamill, and Swamp Thing who he also voiced, had to rescue him. It's hilarious. One guy.
I have to say, Bobby, I like Mark Hamill better for his voice work than I do for Luke Skywalker.
Oh,
I think he's grown as an actor.
Amazing.
Certainly his, you know. Plus, I think especially they always, especially in those early days, the Jedi were almost devoid of any kind of not emotion. That's wrong, but they were kind of like almost monk like. They didn't raise their voice too much. And I think as the movies went on, I think George was telling they were trying to like rein that in. No, you're this regal warrior. You should be centered at all times and all that. Sorry, I talk with my hands. Sorry, but yeah. I always wondered that because I've seen Mark do other stuff where he doesn't act in that particular way. So yeah, but no, when he became the Joker, he won me over completely. Yeah. Sorry,
All right.
I
No,
hijacked the
hey,
thread there. Sorry.
I was the one that did it first. So no, we're good. All right, folks. I'm gonna go over some of the parts of the episode. I don't know if you all caught it. When it started, it had a complete different intro. It was somber. It was more serious. The musical cues were different, and it was deliberately done to let us know this is it. And I thought that was well done. Every now and then, the direction on TV shows, if you're, and this is what I wanted to say earlier, if you watch this episode as a one-off, this episode does nothing for you. It is lame. It is empty. It's a Hollywood, thriller that someone is standing on the ledge, they get shot, and blah blah blah. There's nothing there. There's payoff in this because you've been watching and because you even know a little bit more of the Star Wars universe. There's clearly a lot of payoff here. If you just come in and watch this episode, it means nothing to you. There's nothing there. Because if you think about it, folks, I don't know. I feel that way. But based on the very beginning, the director gets it going, and I believe it's awesome. The first scene, they're looking at the binoculars, whatever. The base is 5 clicks away. Can you make it? And Wrecker, almost angry, tried to stop me. Okay. And then when you see the 3 of them run off, the image for me was the very ending of the Fellowship of the Ring, when the 3 heroes are going to go and save Merry and Pip.
Mhm.
And it was great. We switch over right away. The base is on alert. Hemlock, to his credit, he knew how these guys would act. He knew what they would do. If you think about it, Hemlock had the situation under control. He knew everything that was going to happen except for the one thing, the Zillow. The Zillow screwed his plans big time.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was Omega that screws his plan,
Yes.
because he understood how the clone troopers responded to things. Omega was different because Omega not only learned those battle stuff from being with the Bad Batch, but she also learned a lot from Nola San about how to think through problems. She was raised with that scientist brain. So, yeah, really, it was Omega. It was underestimating Omega. I think that was probably Hemlock's downfall.
Yeah.
And underestimating the ruthlessness of Tarkin.
Yeah, that comes in right next, where the base is on a alert, and then they say we have an insurgent that was captured, and then Rampart and
Mhm.
Hemlock get into it. Says, secret and secure facility is compromised. I can't believe the Emperor will be happy about that. And then Hemlock says, all that time on Camino, and you still don't get it. I know Clone Force 99, and I know that they will attempt to recover Omega. Besides, everything that is going on this base is because of me. I'm indispensable, unlike yourself. I did like that, the little, okay, Rampart, yeah, okay, I know what you're saying, but
Yeah, yet another one of those guys that thinks the Emperor is going to look out for me.
yeah.
Vaguely reminiscent of Krennic from Rogue One,
Mhm.
and combined with Thrawn. The whole better than everybody. This is his project, and nobody can do it better than him.
Well, I don't know. Have you guys watched yet the Tales of the Empire, the little 6-parter that came out yesterday?
The Morgan Elsbeth ones. I haven't started
Well,
the Baratofi ones.
it's 6 episodes. 3 of them are about Morgan. 3 of them are about Barriss and the Inquisitors.
So
And
did all
both of-
6 drop?
Yeah, at one time. Yeah, they're 6. They're short. I mean, they're like 13 minutes apiece. Yeah, they're short.
Oh, Meckle, we didn't know that. We thought it was going to
Yeah.
be weekly for the next few weeks. Huh?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they dropped 6.
Well,
Unless they're doing more than 6. They released 6 yesterday. So.
Folks, I'm sorry. We've got
Yeah.
some comments.
No, that's just never mind.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
But in
6
that
episodes, Bobby.
case, I won't mention anything that spoils. But
I actually have not seen it myself.
that whole not trusting the Emperor plays a big part in some of those. So
In the prior episode, we have a conversation between Echo and Dr. Carr, which is pretty heavy. And I even said, I was like, why? And I was just following orders. Folks, we've heard it at Nuremberg. We've heard it at, in Vietnam. I was just following orders. And we also heard it in A Few Good Men, I was just following orders. But
and the thing about Dr. Carr, now, a buddy and I have argued about this, and you guys can tell me what you think. Are Dr. Carr and Omega the same type of clone? Like how Boba Fett was just a younger version of the clone troopers? Because to me, it seems like she and Dr. Carr have the same voice. And so I wondered if maybe, Omega is just a child version.
I think they are. I think that was mentioned episode 2 or 3, that connection.
Yeah,
because that was a point that,
yeah.
And that was actually a point at the end that kind of upset me a little bit when Emery said to her when she was separating with the children, she said, "Be careful, Omega." I wish she had said, "Be careful, sister."
Right.
Because they are.
Yeah, in my head, but not, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure they are, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I thought we talked about this, guys, that Emery is basically her sister, but that Emery was older, right?
Yeah.
well, sure.
Well,
They may have been the same age physically, but like with Boba Fett, he's like, I want a child version of the clones, and it's just like Nala Se wanted a child version to raise herself. There's a lot of parallels with, she saw that because she did that for Boba Fett or
But
for
did they say
Jango
that,
Fett.
though? I was never really clear on, okay, so why is Omega, allowed to mature normally?
Yeah. Well, no, because Nala Se, I remember at some point in there where it was like, because Omega, until she's rescued from them, only served as like Nala Se's lab assistant, apprentice, whatever. So had none of that stuff on Kamino happened, Omega would probably still be there, would probably have just been raised by Nala Se. So I don't think they state it outright, but I think that was what it is. I think Nala Se wanted a child. And so she built one.
I mean, the consensus seems to be that they're altered versions of the Jango Fett clones to be female.
Yep. Yeah, because I do believe the movies stated that all the clones are taken from his genetic code or whatever. And
yeah, and Lama Su says something to the effect of, and the bounty hunter, which his price was considerable, the only other thing that he asked for was an unaltered clone. Because as we understand from the backstory, I don't know if it was explained in the movies, the clones are accelerated, where these are 18, 20, 30-year-old clones, soldiers, which are in half the time, which I believe is like 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, because that's how Omega chronologically is older than the Bad Batch, even though they're adults and she's still a child. She's been around longer because she was not accelerated.
Yeah, she's lived longer.
She's lived longer, yes.
Oh, so she's not accelerated as well,
right? Because she mentions that at one point where she said she reminds them because
she's older. Yeah.
Right? They called her something like kid, "You're too young, kid," or something, and she reminds them that I'm older than you are. Yeah.
But I mean, she's also an independent thinker. She, doesn't have that sense of obediency.
Well, and I think again that's the Nala Se, because Nala Se trained her to be a scientist. Yeah, think. You're thinking through problems, and because we see that because Omega is not good at following orders.
No, she was not.
Demonstrates critical thinking. And I'm sorry, I don't know any 12-year-olds today that are good at critical thinking.
Well, and she also has empathy, which a lot of them don't. That's why she not only forgives Crosshair, but goes to efforts to like rescue Crosshair, to mend the rift between Crosshair and the others.
Yeah.
I mean, because Omega has that empathy that you don't see in a lot of the clones.
No. And it's also like throughout most of the series, it's like been odd to me that the other clones like treat her like a peer. I mean, they treat her like a daughter, but also like a peer. I mean, she's relied on. She gets to come up with plans. She's treated as an equal at most of the time, and that kind of impressed me.
Mm-hmm.
I know the original demographic of the show was that age group, and it's just just really, I don't know, it just, the whole show seemed refreshing because it didn't pander.
Right.
And especially like halfway through the second season, when they realized that mostly only adults were watching, they even stopped like explaining things. They stopped dumbing down the language. I mean, the vocabulary of the show, I mean, I don't imagine most 12-year-olds getting.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was always on the camp that Omega was a clone of Palpatine, like Boba Fett was a clone of Jango.
Oh.
Just
Yeah.
Somebody from Palpatine's family or something.
Yeah, I wondered about that because that was another discussion we had, because it was so secret what they were working on. Obviously, they were looking for midichlorian counts and all
Chlorian.
that. But like I had one friend that was like, no, that's where Palpatine's clone is being made. Turned out not to be that, but it made sense. I mean, because we do know from the later movies, I mean, Palpatine's cloning himself right and left. So
Yep, and that was actually part of the story of Mandalorian too.
yeah,
why they had Grogu and the research they were doing there.
and you started the episode off talking about credit where it's due. I want to go back one day and watch all of these Star Wars TV shows in chronological order, because we're getting them. This takes place now. The next show takes place before. The next show takes place, but they're still seeding all of these subplots. Like we keep getting subplots about the building of the Death Star. We already know what happens.
Yeah.
But they're still putting it in there like it's like we don't know that. And I would be curious to go back at some point in the future and watch the shows in a chronological order and see if they make sense.
I think they do. Filoni is doing an amazing job at putting all of those links in there.
Mm-hmm.
Tarkin's comment about redirecting the funding to Project Stardust, which we knew from
Yep.
Rogue One was the Death Star project. As soon as they started talking about Project Necromancer, images of all the Snokes in the jars on the Sith world just came to mind. And just all these little pieces, and even the fact that they have Omega at the end growing up to be, going off and be a pilot, and it's like, okay, so there's going to be an Omega show, or she's going to have a cameo, or there's he loves doing these threads, and not necessarily fan service by placating the fans, but fan service by having that universe be unified.
Mm-hmm. Right, and some of that can go from show to show. Like something happens in this show, and we touch on it later in another show, but they do it in a way where if you didn't see the first show and just saw the other one, like if you didn't watch Rebels and you watched Ahsoka, there were things that were in both, but you still got it just from watching
most.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things there for the long-term fan, but there are things that like you don't have to understand. If you've never seen Rebels, you don't have to know how that inside the Force Bridge or where she has that conversation with Anakin. You don't have to know how it works. You just know it works, and you go, oh, because you can kind of hand wring it away and go, oh, it's the Force. Okay, we'll buy it.
Yeah,
Well,
didn't they do that in Clone
I
Wars?
just know some of my friends that had not seen Rebels. They had a hard time with Ahsoka because
Yeah.
they did not know what was going on or the backstory.
Well, they didn't know the backstory, but
They didn't know the backstory, and some
Right.
honestly, and I wish they had kept going with it, but they
Yeah.
didn't. So
because you could still tell what was going on. You just knew that when they would say things about like, oh, this, you know, you didn't have the emotional connection when Ezra showed up because you didn't know who he was.
well, yeah, and I
You know,
think
he's in-
and I think that was the problem with the
Yeah.
people. They just go, why should I care?
Yeah. Right,
Um,
but I can't blame the show for that.
No, I blame
Because
the
the
people
show
that didn't
told-
watch
yeah.
the other one.
Right, because the show told you this guy's important. He's important to her. Here's why he's important. You know, and then people go, "Well, I didn't get it." Well, it's because you missed the other stuff.
Not
But
paying attention. Well, it's also not
Yeah.
because they're not paying attention to the show itself.
yeah,
I
There were
would
too
think
many
if they're not
hints that
paying
would have.
attention.
yeah,
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the case with a lot of people. So that's just
No, it's
Yeah.
like a drama that you jump in the middle of, right? And you have to kind of catch up as it's going.
See, but that
Yeah.
is a problem, though, in the way the media looks at it. The studios, they want something, but they're at least in Star Wars, they're past it. Thank goodness.
mm-hmm.
Because look,
'Cause-
again, if
'cause-
you look at, sorry, Bobby, if you look at this final episode again, folks, it's all payoff
Mhm.
from episode 1 and even others from Attack of the Clones, for goodness sakes, and others. It's the Clone Wars. This series finale, you know, if you just show up and watch it, it's lame. There's nothing there for
Yeah.
you. It's all payoff. So thank goodness the studios have gone for that. This is a show for us that are following it. So Bobby, I interrupted you. I didn't.
No, and you made the point I was going to make. It's like there are people that never didn't watch the Clone Wars who didn't see the introduction to the Bad Batch, but may have still been, jumped into the Bad Batch and were good. And quite honestly, this is all really just one big Star Wars show. Like the fact that we're giving them other names, because, we have episodes of The Mandalorian that are all about Boba Fett. We got Boba Fett episodes that are all about The Mandalorian. We got Andor shows that are all about this other character. There's a lot of that. And so I just look at it as it's one big Star Wars show, and that's how I'm watching it. And I'm loving it because I'm looking at it that way. I'm not judging it based on, oh, this is stuff set during the prequels. I didn't like the prequels, so I'm not watching. It's good TV, and I'm happy with that.
Bobby, I don't know if you saw my reaction, but I'm so resentful of people that are like, well, I didn't like this, so I'm not into this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm actually having that difficulty with my youngest, where the teaser looked bad. I'm not going to watch it. I'm like,
well, but that's okay, though. I mean, not everything is for everybody. And if somebody comes up to me and goes, you know what, that doesn't look like my thing, I'm not watching it, that's fine. But when you don't watch it and you go, oh, it sucks.
Yeah,
that's
a
where I
whole
start
other
to have
story.
problem.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that is a whole other thing. Yes.
It doesn't. It may not suck. You don't know. You haven't watched it, so you. It's hard for you to. If you just go, it's not my thing. Because there's a lot of shows that are on that people love that I look at and go, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
But
my
I
thing.
would
do the same
never.
thing.
Yeah, but I would never go to those people and go, you know what? Why are you watching this crap?
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I've had
Oh my
people
God.
ask me that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Michael and I have spent time on that, and we don't understand, and
Yeah.
we don't rip what they do, but yet they'll readily rip what we. And
Enjoy
it's like,
what
I don't
you
get that.
enjoy. There's a lot of entertainment vying for our attention.
Mhm.
It is impossible to watch everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm because I get I get it all the time. It's like, how do you watch that crap? I'm like, have you watched it? No, then you don't know it's crap,
Yeah.
But I read it was.
Yeah. And so I just kind of like, you know what? I'm digging this. I love this. Star Wars has been a big part of my life, as I'm sure all of us here. We all have a Star Wars story somewhere. And you get around some of us at a certain age.
Yeah, that's
It
where
was just-
Roger lives. That's on his shirt. I
This
know.
is
Yeah.
my happy
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, but for some of us, I mean, just
Palpatine,
seeing,
stand down.
just seeing Star Wars when it first came out, the first one when it first came out, that was a mind blowing experience for
Oh my God, yes.
so many of us.
And all the critics said it was terrible.
Yeah.
All of them.
But what do critics know? How
They know
often?
nothing because then they changed their story a month
Yeah.
later.
How often
Funny.
do I?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
How often do you agree with critics? I mean, I don't pay close attention to them, but very rarely do you know.
You know, Bobby, I look at it differently with critics. I pay attention to what they say, and then I evaluate whether I like it or not. And then if they don't like it, chances are I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and give this movie a shot or whatever. So on that, Bobby, I get you. I do pay attention to them though, where I'm like, okay, I know what they don't like. And
Mhm.
believe it or not, I evaluate even like with Darth, Michael, Omega, and even you, Bobby. I listen to what you guys like.
Yeah, those are the
And-
critics. Those are the critics I listen to.
Yeah, I listen to
People
my
I
kid.
know. Yeah.
Yes, and if they don't like it, I'm like, oh damn. Okay, I take that seriously. And if it
Mhm.
turns out that I know someone in my universe that recommended something to me and was good, I will listen to them.
Mhm. Right,
Yes.
especially people that know you,
Yeah.
or people that know what you know. I know you. This is not for you, or I know you. You'll love this, and I'm like, really? That looks horrible. No, trust me. So there's that.
Yeah.
I take those kind of recommendations very seriously, but watching and reading just reviews from people like critics I don't know doesn't really do much for me.
Yeah, Roger's
Yeah,
done
I
that
kinda
with
go,
me a
is it-
couple of times.
Whoa.
He's listened to me. He's listened
Actually,
to me.
I have. Well, one of the more famous ones is where Michael said, "Hey, do you watch this on this?" No. He says, "Well, maybe you should." I'm like, "Oh, come on!" And I had to watch
Then
it.
I said, and we got a guest coming that's on it, so you better watch it.
And the funny thing was, I was like, "Oh, come on!" And you know what? The very first episode frustrated me to no end, and in the second episode, I saw a bit of daylight. The third, etc. And we're not going to mention that it's the Ark. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not
yeah,
going to
yeah,
mention
yeah.
that. No,
That was just one of them.
No, it,
Really was. I would not have seen the Ark. I would not have, and because of Michael, I did. And I think even Greg, to a lesser extent, also because we had been talking about it for so long. Greg had it on his list. It's like, okay, fine, I'll watch it. And then he actually did kind of enjoy it, right?
Yeah,
I remember
And-
I'd watched the first one or two when it started on Sci-Fi.
Oh,
and
so you did,
it
yeah.
must have started right around the same time as something else
Yeah.
was resuming, or something else that I was more interested in. And it just it got lost.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was recently saying, "Hey, did you know about this show?" And no, I can't even think of the name of it, but it was another one like that. I think it premiered when I was wrapping up my degree, and you just
Mhm.
if you got other things
don't
going
have
on.
the time to watch everything that's out there.
Yeah,
Well, that-
and- yeah,
That's
and-
what Bobby
and there-
mentioned just a moment ago, that there's so much out there and we're kind of screwed. We can't watch everything. We
Yeah.
can't.
And because of the changing nature of things, you know what? I'm not in a sci-fi mood right now, so I'm not going to watch any sci-fi. But when I get back into sci-fi mood, I just watch the whole thing at one time.
yeah.
Maybe now I'm on a thriller kick, and that's what I feel like watching. And
Oh,
so,
God.
and so,
Samsung Television has a channel that is just Midsummer Murders.
mhm.
Oh, those are
all 10
awesome.
years of the show, and I love crime dramas. I love British television.
Uh-huh.
And, oh my God, they suck me in every time.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let me suck everyone back into the program.
Oh no, that's no fun.
Let me bring everyone back to
Michael's
the,
job.
because we actually have, I want to take a quick moment. I want to acknowledge everyone who's watching. Folks, let us know who you are and where you hail from. We appreciate it. Let us know your comments. We are going to return to the reviewing of the episode, but it's the beauty of having this conversation. That's why I love that it's being live. But I do see our numbers. We have quite a few people watching us, and I would like to get back to the review. So I do apologize, folks. Omega, I know you haven't said very much, and Michael either. and then I'm going to get back to the other two. What are some of the thoughts that you? I don't think we have to go beat by beat, but tell us some of the big moments in the episode for you.
To be honest with you, when they were reprogramming the droid, and when the droid knocked out in the vault, knocked out Dr. Sculler, Baron's laughter actually made me crack up. It was so cute. Yeah, I just thought that was adorable. Yeah, it was the other thing I thought was really kind of funny. Once the Zillo had escaped, and the whole crew is coming in to see how they can get in there, and Hunter says, "Well, I think we can use the opening that the Zillo gave us to go ahead and do that." And they both, they asked the question, "Okay, well, whose handiwork was it? Was
Oh
it
yeah,
Echo's handiwork
Crossfire.
or was it Omega's?"
Actually, Crossfire asked, "Was that Omega
Crosshair.
or Echo's handiwork?" And they both answer back, "Omega."
Omega. Right in unison. Bam. Omega. It was like
Yeah.
there was no question.
That was good. Yes.
And then he said, "Is there another way to get up where they're going to end up if they go up this?"
Yeah.
And then they went a different way, and that was good. So,
Do you know
Didn't
what
have
was
to
cool
climb
about
through
one
the
of the subjects? I think his name is Jax. When Omega was going to climb up, and he says, "I'm not good at climbing. I'm afraid of height." And Omega's line, I don't know if any of you, Bobby, Darth, if you guys got that as well. What Omega says, I'm like, try to concentrate on where you are and where you're going. Forget about what
Right.
you are. It was something like that. Do you guys remember what was said? I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that and
can't
then
say
yeah, go ahead.
I can't say the actual line, but it definitely reminded me of something that I read a long time ago. Is once you start climbing, never look down. And that was pretty much kind of the same thing. Don't look back, don't look down, just keep going, focus on where you're going. Otherwise, if you look down, you could fall in life or in actual climbing.
Yeah, it
Let
definitely
me-
had a double meaning.
Yeah.
But like Roger said earlier, he was thinking of other shows. I swear, when they started climbing, I could hear the song Farah Jaka in my.
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, that was cool. Let me back you guys up right before that scene, and I want to know what you guys were thinking about this, where Clone Force 99, they're in the jungle, and the troopers are out searching for them with Batcher type dogs or whatever, and they have this argument on what they're going to do, and Crosshair tells them, "Look, Tech is gone. CF-99 is over," and they get into it real quick. And then Wrecker's still not well, and Crosshair says, "Look, you guys got to go to the radio tower. I'm going in." They're like, "No, you can't do that." He says, "It's over. CF-99 is over." And then he turns around. He's got his weapon. And he says, "I'm doing this alone. It's what I deserve." And then Hunter says, "Omega needs us all. Forget Plan 99. What's Plan 99? Is it a suicide plan?"
Probably.
Because Hunter told him.
Most likely. Yeah.
He pulled Crosshair back and said, "She needs us all."
And that's a big difference from just a handful of episodes ago, where Hunter would have let Crosshair go and get killed. I mean, a lot's changed.
He didn't care.
Right.
Yeah.
But Omega is that thing too that is kind of the glue that gets them back together. So
She's their heart.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, she establishes it with Crosshair. Bobby, you've seen the entire series, of course.
Oh yeah.
We talked about it. I forget in episodes 1, 2, and 3 on how Omega and Crosshair escape, and one of the lines that he says at first, he says, "You trust too much. You should stop trusting." And then she turns around and says, "You don't trust enough." And that was a start. And all it happened. Guys, remind me, was it 2 or 3 episodes ago when Crosshair? It's like we all knew that was it. Crosshair was for Team Omega. I mean, the moment had arrived when he says, "We're gonna go get her," and it was out of him, and it was so well done.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, if you look at it, I mean, the the Bad Batch, the troopers, they have dealt with other troopers who are trying to kill them, and so they don't immediately look at them and go, "Oh, that's my family." Omega has treated every clone she's run into like family. You know, she hasn't been wanting to go kill them. They're trying to stun them, or you know. Whereas the troopers will.
Oh,
The
that's
clones
right,
will
Bobby.
kill people.
She shot one of the operatives.
Yeah.
She stuns him.
Yeah.
She's trying to
Because
stun him.
right, because in her head, this is my family. She thinks of them as her brothers, and so even though they're trying to kill her, she is still not trying to kill them back. You know, whereas the other guys, we have seen them kill other clone troopers.
Yeah.
So there is that slightly, and a lot of that's how they're raised too. You know, the clone troopers have spent so much time at war that they become warriors, whereas Omega, really, her Omega's war experience has been once she's been with them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
A little bit later, when the ex trooper reports to Hemlock, sir, you know, the Zillow's in the forest, and after wiping out 2 divisions, we need reinforcements. Hemlock says, send the shuttles for Zillow. But sir, I need them. He says, the clones will attack. Of course they will. Again, Hemlock knew what was going on. And then Hemlock goes in and he activates what I thought was Starship Troopers Part 3. Where you get the operatives in the super suits. I know that was lame, but very few people saw that. These super troopers, or whatever they are, I call them the Knights of Ren because they all do these different things. That when Clone Force 99 arrive on the perimeter, you think help's on arrive, they get overwhelmed like that. That kind of sucked. All 3 of them, they're outnumbered, and they are it. The battle's taken to them, and it's over fast. Wrecker's captured, Crosshair loses his hand, and it was bad. And then Echo finds the children. Dr. Carr takes the kids to safety, and then Omega meets up with Echo, and then this is a line that was almost Lord of the Ring-esque. Echo says, "You ready?" And Omega says, "Let's complete the mission." And the mission, Darth, Bobby, Michael, Omega, what is that?
Well, that's going back and saving the others. I mean, it's
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah, it's like
every
I
one of
can't,
those clones need to be saved.
yeah,
yeah,
because she says I can't leave them behind, or
yeah.
something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that was the call to arms moment, but that's the moment where the kids were free. They
Mhm.
gave the coordinates to Dr. Carr. She was gone. And then we see Clone Force 99's being tortured. And then Tarkin is calling. What a wonderful conversation. But Echo and Omega then storm the facility. They grab weapons. And then Malasay or Nalasay and Omega have the chance to have the conversation. This was a conversation that needed to happen. And it was absolutely wonderful. And that was the call to arms to go and save them of the training room. And Melisay says the data banks must be destroyed. You go with the clones. And then I believe she says you'll need this.
Mhm.
And Omega, right, gave her the pad
Mhm.
so that she could go ahead and do it. And then Rampart, who you could see him throwing a tantrum in the background, and he's all like whatever, and then he makes his way, he escapes on his own. Hemlock and Tarkin have the conversation. He says, "Oh, really? Well, I think your facility's in bad shape right now." Says, "Hey, we knew what was going to happen. I know what's going to happen." He says, "Well, we'll find out shortly." Tarkin says he's all going to be there in a few seconds. Right after that, Omega and Echo search for Clone Force 99. There's a firefight, of course, and in that firefight, Nala Se is going through the corridors, and she finds a detonator or a grenade.
Mhm.
And then Rampart finds a pistol and follows Nalasay to the data banks. And then he pulls a pistol on her and says, "What research could be of such value?" And says, "You just don't understand. You do not understand what it is." And then Rampart learns of the necromancer, but a moment before Omega was caught by Hemlock. But then we have the moment where Rampart learns, like, oh my God, okay, I got to get all this information. The Emperor's gonna want this information, and he's already thinking of his way to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shot Nala Se, which did surprise me. Were you guys surprised by that?
I was surprised he shot her. From the moment she said her goodbyes to Omega, I assumed that Nala Se knew she was dead. She was going to die.
Yeah.
In what way, Bobby? That Rampart was going to take her out, or
No,
that
I
she
think
knew she had to blow up the data?
she was going to blow it up, and the only way to make sure it was destroyed was to be standing there when it blew up.
Okay, did
Exactly.
you
I was
guys
thinking the
catch?
same thing.
Okay, sorry, Omega. Darth, Michael, Omega, and Bobby, did you guys catch when Nala Se and Rampart are having the conversation when he's got the pistol on her? She activates the thermal
Yeah.
detonator,
Yeah,
and
Yep.
he didn't
I'm-
flinch.
yeah. I'm
No,
convinced
no.
that was her plan.
He didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Yeah.
Rampart didn't see it because she kind of had it.
Didn't see it, didn't
and-
hear it,
But
and
but
that's
I
when
think
she decided to clock out, I guess.
Yeah. I still believe she knew she was going to die before then. That was how I saw it. Was
Oh,
like
no, I agree with you, Bobby.
Yeah.
I think she did. I think that's why she took it, because she goes, it's more important for me to destroy all this stuff
mhm.
than for me to survive.
Yeah.
And I think too, there's and this could just be me putting stuff on because I don't think they said it, but there is also some of that. She's responsible for a lot of this. She was very responsible for the clones and the
It's all
things
her
that are
research.
happening were built. Yeah, it was built off of her work, and so and no scientist wants to see their work perverted. We've seen so many movies and TV shows about that. It's like I don't want, I invented this. I don't want it turned into a weapon. So yes, I was convinced that the moment she and Omega said their goodbyes, she knew she was going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I suppose I can't argue that after the fact. Yeah. All right. Well, she took it out. The vault exploded, destroyed, and then of course we had that scene which I talked about earlier, where he says, "Oh, I think it was Omega says, well, you lost it all. No, I have you." And then of course, oh, you're forgetting one thing, Hemlock. I have them. And then they rise up, and all that happens. And then they're out on the ramp. Hemlock, Omega. I guess it's an ex-trooper, and the operatives are defeated in the other scene by everyone, because I think Echo still had his mask on, so that knockout gas or poison gas didn't work, which was good. And as the shuttle was nearing to escape for Hemlock, it was awesome. Crosshair took it out, right? I
Yep.
thought that was absolutely awesome. He missed it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
There's the payback when it was getting away, right? He missed it. On this one, Johnny on the spot nails it. And then we have the scenes where we see where there's no escape. Hemlock says, if I go over, you do too. And then Omega, as I mentioned, stabs Hemlock and everything else. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Omega never gave up hope that they were going to rescue her. At no point did she ever think that they would not come and save her.
Oh, she kept saying it over
Yeah,
and
throughout
over.
the whole
When the
season,
kids
yeah.
were,
Yeah.
when the kids were, oh no, they're going to be here.
Yeah, my
They're
brothers are coming.
You know, and when they started firing. Yeah.
Sorry, Omega.
And even back, not last episode, maybe it was last episode, where they're starting to fire off the cannons, and I forget which one of the kids started to feel the vibrations. He's like, "What's that?" And
Uh-huh.
Omega very clearly said, "It's my brothers. My brothers
My
are
brothers
here."
are here. Yes, very good.
Yeah,
Talk about,
she never.
reminding you of films. That reminded me of the 1984 Dune, where Ollie has been captured, and my brother's coming, and when they blow up the wall.
Mm-hmm. Because she knew Omega had that faith. She knew that they were coming and that they would die trying to get her out.
Yeah, they did.
Well, I think the title of the episode pretty much says it all. You know, the cavalry has arrived is the title of the episode. So what do you
Yeah.
expect?
What was the cavalry? It was misleading because when you have the cavalry arrive, this is you're fighting your battle, and this is Rogue One. The Rebel fleet shows up. I mean, it's the Rohirrim are on the western ridge of the fields of the Pelennor. What was the cavalry here?
Yeah,
It
and
was
Ming Na Wen
triumphant.
was not in this episode, so
The release
Bobby?
plan.
To me, it was always the brothers.
yeah. No, I was making a joke. Sorry.
Oh, darn it!
I-
Well, I missed
I
it
said,
either way.
I said like Ming Na Wen wasn't in this episode.
Oh,
No, that's
okay.
true.
Oh,
though.
God,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
A
No, that was good,
one-person
Bobby.
cavalry. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. It happens. They board the shuttle, and they were gone. Do you know what is one of the minor complaints I had is when Dr. Carr, Echo, Omega, they're outside the shuttle and they're loading up the kids and they're just standing there having a conversation. That unnerved me. I'm like, move. We have to move. And okay, I know, I'm over exaggerating, but I was like,
The
nah,
sense of
you're jabbing.
urgency disappeared briefly there. Yes.
Yeah, I just felt that was a moment that you got to get aboard the ship and get out of here. That was one of my only real gripes of the episode. Otherwise, look, the shuttle takes off, and I'll talk about the Stardust in a moment. I don't know if you guys saw that on the ending of the episode. I'm gonna have you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
look back and did you see when she flew off?
Well,
And you see
yeah.
the pullback, and when she passes the moon, did you notice the trail?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I
kind of
thought that was
screamed at that
interesting.
point.
I caught that, but anyway, did you guys also notice that once the shuttle takes off, they're gone. 3 Star Destroyers show up, and it was 2 Attack of the Clone Cruisers, and I guess this is in the timeline the first new Imperial Star Destroyer, right? I guess. You got 2 clone ones and an Avenger class. Tarkin surveys the damage, and he gets the report Hemlock and troopers are dead. DB was destroyed. Oh, the database was destroyed. Tarkin's like, okay, shutter this facility, and all funds now go to Project Starburst, which is what you guys were talking
And that's
about.
actually it's still a bit of on point continuity because in the 3rd prequel movie, that's where we see that the first of the new Star Destroyers is commanded by Tarkin. Because Tarkin and Darth Vader are standing on the bridge of that at the end of it.
Yeah, but that was still a Venator. It just didn't have any of the Republic markings on it anymore.
Was that what it was? Okay, I thought
I'm
it
pretty
was
sure
the
that was
new-
still a Venator.
Yeah.
Oh, real? I was like, ooh, I missed that. I'm gonna have to go back and take a
I
look.
have to go
now.
back and look now. Yeah. It's-
Yes. So they landed on the planet, which I forgot the name, Kaboo. Like, oh, okay, all right, Naboo, well, whatever. The kids are adapting, and then Hunter says kids are resilient, and Echo says, I'm going to Pantora to settle the clones. And Echo did give that long look to all of them, which I
Mhm.
suppose was good as he walks up. And then we see Omegas with Batcher, and then they're all together in that scene, folks. I'm calling it the family portrait because I don't have any other name, but
Mhm.
yes. And it was interesting how Omega just rested against Hunter along,
Yeah, I think something very important too, looking at this image, this is one of the very few times in the 3 seasons that we see them all relaxed.
Yeah.
That's true. Not on edge or trying
Yeah.
to get somewhere or figure something out or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still in armor though.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
what?
True. Yeah.
Still
They're-
in armor though. At this
Oh,
point.
yeah. Yeah, but this is that cool down period, man, when you
Well,
get
there's-
home.
There are still people wanting them dead,
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, unfortunately. Now, do you guys notice that Wrecker's on the left side and his left eye is the one damaged, but
Mhm.
his good arm is on the outside? I don't know if this was an accident or not. And then you have Crosshair, who lost his right hand, but
mhm.
his left arm is on the outside. And then you have Batcher, who became a favorite of many. I don't know if he's my favorite, but Batcher was a good character. I thought it was overly
Everybody
done.
loves that.
Actually, they do. And just the whole idea of her resting on Hunter, and Hunter is just looking someplace else. It's a wonderful image. And they're finally safe. Echo leaves, and then I think Omega asks, "What are we gonna do?" And then Hunter says, "Whatever we want." Yes. And I think that's how it ended on that one right there. And then we have Bobby. What would you call this? The epilogue in the story?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like it's the little tag on the end that lets you know that yeah, the story's the show is over, but the story continues. But I also love the fact that we lost there. We
He's
lost
back.
I love the fact too that that tag, that epilogue tells us that the Bad Batch had at least what you want to say 10 years of peace.
Yeah, at least that.
Yeah, that they got to live a life that wasn't them at war constantly. So yeah, so a nice happy ending for them, which I was again I didn't expect that. I
You know,
expected them
Bobby,
all to die at the end of
I
it.
think we were, I'm not going to say we were taking bets, but I think we all had our idea as to who was not going to make it. As a matter of fact, guys, wasn't it around episode 10 or 11 where I said, "Oh God, here we go. It's going
Someone's
to
going to
happen.
go. Each one is going to go
Someone's gonna
down to
die.
Oh,
nothing.
we're going to see one chopped off at a time." And it's like, oh my God, I was so worried about that, Bobby.
Yeah. Well, see, and
So,
that's because that's one of the downfalls of doing prequels when you're doing stuff. Because like in the very first Star Wars movie, they tell us the Jedi are all but gone. Okay, so but we keep meeting them. So when we were watching Rebels and Ezra has the power and Ahsoka's still alive, I'm like, well, they can't survive the end of this, you know. Ahsoka can't survive because there are no Jedi in Luke's time. They're all gone except for Obi-Wan and then Yoda. But they keep finding ways to keep these guys alive when realistically, based on what we already knew before, they should have died. But then
Well,
Or they were
again,
just in hiding and then didn't know it.
yeah, nobody hides like a Jedi.
right. So I guess they're part of the Boomer Corps of the United States, the nuclear submarines. We hide with pride.
Yeah, because if you think about it, almost every Jedi post Attack of the Clones that we've seen is hidden somewhere.
Yeah.
Ahsoka hid for years. Obi-Wan, Yoda. I mean, there's so many of them that just went into hiding, and which I from a story point I kind of get it, but then there's a part of me that goes, so you guys are just like, well, the universe has gone to crap. Okay, I'm out.
Mhm.
Did my bit. I'm done. But
Have that
yeah,
feeling frequently, actually, these days.
yeah.
Okay, some of them did, but I think others were waiting for the chance
Mhm.
because they knew what it was to be a Jedi, to just lie low for a while. They were hoping, always hoping. At least that's what I thought. Not every Jedi.
Yeah.
Some of them were young
Well,
kids that wouldn't know.
true, but from the way they talked about the Jedi in the movies, the
Oh
Jedi
yeah,
are the hero. They're going to come and save us, and they're like the Jedi are hiding back, watching as the Empire just continues to,
yeah.
Like the beginning of the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope. He disbands the Senate. That's surely somebody would have said, "Wait a minute," but they're off doing their thing. So
Yeah. In the final scene, we see Omega crawling up and she prepares a spacecraft. Hunter and Batcher are on watch. And she says, "Look, Rebellion needs pilots more than ever." Now he had mentioned to her a moment ago, because I guess he surprised her. He said, "What did you think, that you were going to get past me? I still have it, you know." And
yeah, because I think she was trying to sneak off without saying goodbye.
yes,
I'm imagining they've had this conversation and they told her, "You don't need to get involved."
Hmm.
That was my feeling.
yeah, says the Rebellion needs pilots more than ever. And she says, "You've all fought enough. This is my fight. I'm ready. And Hunter says, I know you are, but I'm not. That's almost a parental thing. But there's
Well,
more to
well,
Oh
well,
it.
yeah,
he does that. He
definitely.
says, "You're our kid." You know.
Yeah. What felt good was the very next line. Omega says, keep an eye on Wrecker, Crosshair, and Batcher, too, while I'm gone. And then Hunter doesn't get any more, so he says, off you go. Go do what you need to do. It's understood. It's a soldier's line. I don't pretend to be one, but he's like, that's it. Go do what you need to do. Omega lifts off. And then this is what I was talking about. There's the pullback. We see this cityscape, and you see her shuttle rising up, and as it passes the moon, there's a trail of stardust. That's what I was wondering. Did you guys catch that?
And
I did.
it's those little.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that way of saying the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that this is
Well, it was also a subtle hint or almost an Easter egg because the whole project is, of course, Project Stardust. So if it's a little bit of stardust falling from the moon, it's almost a subtle little hint, or like I said, an Easter egg to what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I took it.
Yeah, and I have no doubt we will see the character of Omega again. I mean, they're going to keep doing shows, and they're going to do shows that are set during. I'm sure we're not done with shows set during each trilogy of movies. They could certainly. I mean, they like they retconned in like that Rex is in Return of the Jedi and that the guy with the beard they made him be Rex. Yeah.
Bobby, I'd heard about that for a long time. And that I don't know if it's just symmetry, serendipity, or whatever.
Well, I think that's because when they saw the guy there with the beard, and
Yeah.
someone pointed out that it could be Rex. I think that's why in Rebels they gave Rex the beard so they could just say,
I'm okay with that though. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm all right. Yeah. And is that a retcon though?
not what. Did
It
we
was
know?
an
We didn't know the
unnamed
guy's
character.
name, so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
He was an
Things like that
unnamed
happen. That's
commander.
why. Oh, I'm sorry, Darth.
No, I was just saying he was an unnamed commando.
Yeah.
Does my mic work? I had the camera issue, obviously.
Yeah. No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you like you're a bit away from the mic. That's all. But we hear you clearly. All right.
God.
That's funny. Okay. All right, Darth. I suppose I had that one coming. So, okay, folks, I think we went over the episode. We actually still kind of went over it beat by beat. This is the open part. What else do you guys want to add to it? I mean, Bobby, you said clearly you were surprised by it.
Mhm.
Michael, Omega, Darth, you said you were surprised by it,
Yeah.
right? I was.
and I like that. I like to, we've all seen a lot of TV and movies over the years.
Yeah.
I write a
We
lot
have?
of stories. Yes, I write a lot of stories, so I pick up a lot of red herrings and clues just because my brain is thinking that way. So when a show can surprise me, it elevates it, and there's a lot of shows that have done that, have been so smartly written and smartly produced that I am just enthralled. And this show definitely did that. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't see it coming.
The homages, Roger, clued into a lot more than I did. Are there, but they're not. It wasn't derivative as a result most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's predictable, sometimes it's cliche, but you expect that with Star Wars. It wouldn't be Star Wars without that.
Mm-hmm.
But when this show matured, probably a quarter of the way into the second season, it grabbed me a lot more, and I feel horrible that I didn't make it past the first couple episodes of the second season until this year. and
Yeah.
because it matured, it became serious. And I think it was Omega who said a few weeks ago, you forget you're watching a cartoon.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you know, yes, please, more like this. You know, certainly Tales of the Empire promises to be along those lines. The first three were very adult, very dramatic. You know, not a kid show for a cartoon, and not a goofy cartoon either, like you know some of the other ones.
You know, Michael and I had spoken before this episode extensively, and maybe even with a little bit of Liz as well. And Michael was telling me, dude, how are they going to resolve all this? There's way too much on the table. There's way too much, and I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, duh. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm like, yeah, he's right. It's like, and then Greg had pointed out smartly that the last 4 or 5 episodes, yeah, their runtime may have been 24, 25 minutes, but the reality is there was about 4 or 5 minutes of end credits. These were actually relatively short episodes. And I was in paranoia thinking, oh my God, if this is going to be 22, well, we're screwed. There's no way it's going to be resolved. And Michael and I, when we spent time talking about that, is how are they going to resolve it? So I don't know what happened, but on Tuesday night, I was so exhausted that I stayed up, and all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my God, it's 11:57. Okay, screw it. I'm going to stay up." And then I put it on Disney, and I started refreshing, and my refresh started at 12:03 for whatever reason. And I said, "Let's play it." I
Yeah,
saw it
see,
through.
you
Oh,
get
the
it at
first
midnight. I get it at 3 a.m. That's a little harder.
really.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I'm on the
Yeah, they
East
do
Coast.
drop differently.
3 a.m. Yes. My 3 a.m. is your midnight.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it dropped at that time,
Yeah.
and the moment it dropped, I started watching it, and I did tell Michael that unfortunately, at about the 46-minute mark, I actually fell asleep for a minute. And then I woke up and I went back and I was like, "Oh, okay." And this was the epilogue. I actually, I was tired at that point, and I told Michael I lost about a minute when I went back to see it again. But I knew instantly. I closed my eyes and I struggled to stay awake. And when I saw it, but the minute I clicked it, I looked at the time and it said 51 minutes. I was like, okay, let's do this. I was so stunned that I was so relieved because Bobby, I'm not sure if you knew this. I had commented because we had mentioned on air. These are short episodes. They're moving
Mhm.
fast. That they're trying to get to where they need to get. I reminded everyone that the first episode was over an hour. It was like an hour 20, hour 30, which was really surprising when you think about it. So now we were all concerned. I don't know why we were so concerned that because we've been following this.
Well, they
There's
can
too
each
many
of these
loose ends.
last several episodes around an event, something to move them towards this
Yeah.
finale, and but you know it was canned, and it's like okay, they did this, then they did this, then they did this. The expectation was okay, then they rescue her. Period. You know, and it was like I don't know, the buildup just didn't seem to be there.
We were
Or
complaining about that, Greg. We
yeah,
did. Remember, we said, "Oh my God, didn't I say something effective? This episode exists because we have to get there." Said, remember we were talking about this? No,
yeah, but it was like
they
some of the
Yep.
really,
early Ahsoka episodes where it's just like was
yeah.
dragging it out.
Well, sometimes it's good storytelling. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, right, Bobby?
Mm,
You
it
know,
happens. Yeah.
it does happen. But I know that all of us at one time or another, we were like, okay, this was a filler episode. There was absolutely no need for this. Like, well, whatever. Look, how many times have we followed a series that promises 8 episodes, 12 episodes, 16, and we're just like thrilled or whatever? And then we get a final season that has like 7, and we're like pulling our hair out. Okay. So it's like
Hmm.
we're never going to be happy. This gave us 15 episodes, and the final when I saw it was 51 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm
We're
glad.
having
And when it was
shows
done,
that have made good use of every hour.
yeah, yeah. I mean, all in all, I don't think the season was bad. We had our
No,
gripes
no.
trying to work things. I think that's what the problem is that we all had. We were trying to work things out, and when it didn't match our thinking, we were unhappy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think that
good
does
way to
happen.
put it.
Yes. I
Yeah. See,
don't
that's one of
know
the
if
things I
this was
can't.
just
Yeah, I can't blame shows for not doing what I want them to do. I try to look at, it's like with the reviews. I try to look at what the show gave me. Did I like that? You
Okay.
know, not be upset because I wanted this and I didn't get that. But you know, that's and I think that's a common problem, especially with a series that has gone on for as
Game of
long as
Thrones.
Star Trek is the exact same way. Oh, I wanted this type of show, and that's not the show they gave me. You know,
That was yesterday.
yeah. So, and I think you get that with these franchises that people have been. It has been a part of our lives for so long that we start to feel an ownership of it up to a point. You know, these are not characters. We know these people.
Well,
You
it's
know, it's
expectations, right? You go
yeah.
to the same bakery for years, right? And you want a German chocolate cake from that bakery, and you expect the frosting to be just the way they make it with the right amount of
Mhm.
coconut and the right amount of sweetness. And then you go back and it's not the same cake.
Yeah. But it's also too where a lot of times when it comes to working and stuff that's been around a while or there's other versions of it, it's hard because the fans want something that is Star Wars that you can look at it and go, that's Star Wars. But then they're on the other hand, they're going, why aren't you giving us something new? So you have to give them something new that still feels like, and that is a tough thing because not every fan's idea of what feels like Star Wars is the same.
I have
Oh, yeah.
generally been thrilled with all of the new Star Wars material that
Yeah,
I've
I
seen.
have as well. I mean, there are degrees. I like some shows better than the others, but I haven't out and out gone, oh God, I hate that one. No, it's
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like Roger and I are on opposite ends regarding Obi-Wan and Andor. And it's not that I hated Andor. There was just things about the way it was presented
Mm-hmm.
that I thought could have been better. And I also agree with Roger's points about what made Obi-Wan poor in some aspects. But I also I like that one better.
Mm-hmm. And I
Hey
even
guys,
commented.
I hate to do this, but I have to duck out.
Okay.
Well, it's good seeing you again,
Thank
Bonnie.
you guys so much for having me. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, sorry I had to cut out short, but this was fun. Thank you so much. I will chat with you guys later.
Love
Sounds
geeking
fair.
out with you, man.
All right,
Appreciate
we'll
that,
do this
Bobby.
again, guys. See
Bye,
ya.
Bobby.
All right.
Bye.
Without wanting to be, overtly repetitious, yes, and that's what I've said. I've said it over a few times now that I appreciate that Greg and I do not agree. It's absolutely awesome. I like that, but we don't dislike each other for it. We can say that, that wasn't for me, and I actually like bragging about that. I think it's absolutely amusing that he loved Obi-Wan and I was unhappy with it, and I loved Andor and he was unhappy with it. I think that's kind of cool. It's we're not what is it? We're not shills for the program, for the
Exactly.
universe, and I
Exactly.
think that's the best thing. And that's what I like the most. That's why I think it's absolutely great because I loved absolutely and almost every aspect of Andor, and Greg loved every or almost every aspect of Obi-Wan as well.
Almost every aspect of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and same thing for me.
Well,
Omega.
that's what makes the program neat is we all have different ideas and viewpoints of it, and we can agree or disagree, but we all, are able to voice those opinions.
And also, it's
And if you don't share your crackers, you're driving us nuts with the crunch, crunch, crunch.
I'm sorry. I was being selfish.
Sue made sweet and sour chicken. I have like no desire to snack tonight. I am so sated with food today.
I don't know if they made anything today. I commented to Michael and I completely forgot. Michael, I told you I went to Costco and I got the 5-layer dip. They had it. I didn't even bring the dip out. I was trying to get all the images and stuff. So I don't even have it. It's over there. So I apologize, folks. I was getting a bit hungry. But Michael, what are some of your thoughts now about the episode? I mean, we've gone over quite a bit.
kind of said everything that
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else to add.
Were you happy with it, Michael?
Well, I'm mad as we talk. I was mad that I was wrong about everything, but hey, but I mean, it had a nice ending, and it certainly didn't kill off everybody, unlike other ones that
We all
glad about
we've
that.
talked about. Rogue One, but we knew they were going to die. But only one I knew that I thought might survive was Rex, just because I'd seen him in later things. So I'm glad that they survived, and maybe we will see them again in something else.
Yeah.
Maybe a live action, which would be interesting.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, pull Omega into Ahsoka.
Ooh.
Now, we had the discussion on our couch afterwards about how we felt about that type of epilogue where they jump ahead, like Harry Potter did, and a couple others have done recently. And I think I got the impression my wife didn't like it. In this case, I thought it was okay. Because it gave a sense of finality. It said, yes, this is where we're stopping this story, and Omega's moving on. But they also left it open enough that there could be stuff going on in between the end of the series and the epilogue.
True. Or they're just going to jump and, she's going to be with one of the other new shows. I mean, who knows? Because they keep tight-lipped about a lot of things. So,
the studios I've talked about this obliquely on some other programs, that the studios want fans to invest. And when we become invested, then the executives say, how is this possible? How does this fandom exist? And why are they so intrinsically involved in it? So wait a minute, you want us to get involved, and then when we are, then you actually ridicule and make fun of us. It's like it's unbelievable. And it's something where you look at this series, The Bad Batch, the very title, The Bad Batch. They're left over. It is what it is. And when you think of the story, not every episode, but when you think of the story, Bad Batch equals Ohana. It equals family.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing when you think about it in its purest sense of the word. Bad Batch is family. Sometimes it's, driven into us by Omega, but it's driven into by everyone. Look, you had the wayward son, Crosshair, who came back.
You came back to the fold, yeah.
By Omega. And it is wonderful that, yes, we did lose Echo because there's not Echo, Tech. I didn't realize how much I did like Tech. I really did. He wasn't my favorite character. I don't know if I have a favorite character here. But
not Batcher?
Michael, I was thinking about it and I was waiting for someone to slap me on that, but no.
The problem with losing Tech is that they had this dynamic, right? And they started out with these archetype soldier people. It was very reminiscent of like squad-based video games, where you had one person was the sharpshooter, one person was the TAC, the other person was the heavy artillery guy. And when they lost Tech, it seemed to upset that. The same way that when Echo, went off, comms officer. So it's like, okay, so now you've got, the stereotypical leader, you've got the heavy, and Crosshair, who's the sniper, but he's also the wayward son, and so it kind of upset that dynamic that they had going, that most of the writing had been based on. And fortunately, they only stumbled over it a little bit. When the story started focus on the dynamic between Omega and Crosshair, all of a sudden that awkwardness disappeared because they stopped relying on the abilities of the soldiers and started relying on the relationships between them.
Yeah.
And that's that's looking back on it, and that's what I was thinking of today, is that, that absence, seemed to linger more just because Omega kept lamenting him, but at the same time, it seemed like there was a missing role in the stories as well.
Yeah. I am going to be satisfied all in all with this series. The ending is far from perfect, but it's not. There's not a lot of negativity that I feel over it. There's little things that irked me. That was it. The story surprised me. There was no grandiose rebels that show up to save. There was no epic space battle. There wasn't even a duel of lightsabers, as we know in Star Wars. This was a small family unit that was trying to make its way. There was a power that was bigger than them that was basically effing with them. And they were able, with the help of others, the other clones that took up arms as well.
In much the same way that Mandalorian left us. I won't say ended, because
true, exactly.
Yeah, but they got away. They're happy. Their family.
Eating chips.
Yes.
Without the dip.
Mm-hmm.
He is the dip.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't say that.
I'm sorry. Again.
It's sad that we had the closed captioning on, so everybody knew what that was.
Oh my goodness. Actually, that might help in the long run. I don't know. Oh, I just had a delivery from Amazon. I'm probably going to have to run outside real quick to just make sure. Even though nothing is ever stolen here, you never know. This is a rather big box, so I'll have to go get it right now. But
you have a cat.
The cat did leave, the one that was here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he had left. And there was another cat that came in about 20 minutes into the program, which was kind of funny. But Greg mentioned it earlier, about a quarter of the way through in the second season, when he stopped looking, or whatever, when it became sophisticated, because I got that too, Greg. It turned on a dime for me. I was watching The Bad Batch because my daughter was watching it, and we saw it religiously. But again, I had the privilege of watching a program with my youngest. I was watching. I didn't know where they were going with The Bad Batch. And then it got serious. Kind of like what happened with the Orville. I don't know if any of you guys felt that. The first episodes were almost, it was Seth MacFarlane attempted humor, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it got serious. And it was surprising to me. In The Bad Batch, something big was up, and it got my attention. And I don't know how else they could have finished it. This is one of the few times where I am actually satisfied with the ending. Mr. Filoni, I thank you for taking me on this trip. I'm happy that I had faith in you, and I am thankful that you took me on this trip. I also thank George Lucas for creating this sandbox to play in. I think it's absolutely awesome. And Bad Batch, which I believe is family, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually sad to see it end. To be honest, just as it was becoming enjoyable, well, not more than enjoyable, just as it was becoming, engaging and sophisticated and beyond just the mature vocabulary. I mean, it was just refreshing. It's like they stepped it up to the same level as Mandalorian
Yeah.
as far as storytelling.
But in the same token, I think they wrapped it where it was very satisfactory.
Yes.
I don't see how they could have necessarily gone on, because the whole objective throughout the whole thing, they wrapped up. It took them 3 seasons basically to get to that point, but they wrapped it all up. So where could you go after that? It seemed like it would be wrong to try to direct them into another story.
Michael, did you want to add anything else?
No, I'm good.
I think
You're tired.
the
I'm
last
tired.
thing I want to add is they've wrapped up this mystery, which leads to yet another mystery, which eventually we see culmination in the Rise of Skywalker, I suppose,
Or in 2026
with the new movie, right?
or whatever.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Things that they haven't announced yet.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there a film in the works that's going to go?
The Skywalker one, her.
Skywalker.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they're going to continue with the
Jedi Order.
yeah.
We'll see. It's family, and I'm all right with it. It's not bad. The
One thing,
Acolyte.
did you?
Oh,
Yeah,
go
I was
ahead.
going to say one thing real quick. Did you catch when Omega got in the ship and was ready to set off? She still had basically her family with her, because Tech's glasses were there, his goggles were there on her dash. So she was taking him with her.
Didn't see that.
Yep.
Or it happened so fast, I just didn't realize that. 5 pages of notes, folks, for one episode. I think it's the most I've ever had, and they're all full. All absolutely full. And I was really happy. I think I got everything out that I wanted to talk about. There was maybe only one other item where Hemlock threatened Dr. Carr, when he says, due to what's her face is Dr. So-and-so's miscue, she's going to have to pay
Boulder.
for what she did. And for what's going on now, and that Omega's gotten free, your destiny is entwined with hers now. That was a threat. You better find her. So I think that was the only other comment. Otherwise, no. There was really good stuff in there. I am going to go out on a ledge, and I am going to say that we are going to do the Acolyte. I want to talk to everyone. We don't have to settle today. It is tentatively scheduled on the calendar. But if no one wants to do the Acolyte, then we won't. But I think it's an 8-episode run, but the first 2 episodes will be on the first day. So it's only 7 weeks, but I mean, geez, that's a lot. And it's
Okay, so
tentatively
it's gonna
scheduled for.
be-
I'm sorry?
Is it, do you know what the format is? Is it going to be an hour format, half-hour format?
I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea.
Yeah, well, no idea. There's nothing on anywhere to know.
Because I didn't expect. I thought Tales of the Empire was going to run from
Oh, that's what Michael and I
today,
thought.
from yesterday through the week of June 4th.
That's what we thought too. And it did not. So We
Which I don't mind, because if they're 15-minute episodes, I'm glad I got to watch that whole first story. And if that's their format, wow, we could be set up for additional 45-minute characters, single character focuses within the storyline.
This is for Tales of the Empire.
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
do another season of it, because they're not, it looks like they're not tying themselves to any single character.
Well, I got to hand it to them. They're doing different things. This is what Star Trek Discovery creator wanted to do. He had a whole different way of storytelling, but it didn't happen because I guess he wasn't good at writing scripts after all. He couldn't get the stuff done. But he wanted to change everything, not unlike Tales of the Empire. It was going to be short, what he called books. And I'm not saying that's the way Tales of the Empire went, but I don't know. It might have been what Mr. Fuller was trying to do. But
Well, the first 10 minutes or so, I mean, I don't know if it's because we were distracted or what, but the first 10 minutes didn't grab us. And then I'm like, well, let me just watch it in case we start talking about it tonight. And we watched it through and it actually grabbed us. And, we then went back and watched the Morgan Elspeth episode of Mandalorian again. And I might actually get Sue to watch the rest of Ahsoka.
I hadn't had a chance to watch it. I'm going to watch it as soon as I can. And maybe we can do an episode on all of them. Or I don't know if there's enough to do, an episode per episode. Maybe we'll do what
they did a really good job. I want to go back and look at it again. There was characters in there that were familiar. And I just want to confirm that those are indeed the characters, and if that is the case, Filoni pulled it out of his hat again. There's like one Imperial officer. It's like I'm convinced it was somebody who was sitting at the table on the Death Star.
Okay, I'm gonna take a look at it. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it next week. I do want to let everyone know that if we do the Acolyte, we're looking at the 9th of June, Sunday night. Again, that's not set in stone, folks. I have to speak to everyone here if they want to do it, who wants to do it. This is an invite to the audience. If you want to be a commentator, you want to join the program, reach out to us. That's what everyone has done here, except for Greg and Michael. Everyone else that's on the network reached out to us. And look at what we're doing now together. It's really cool. We will be doing House of the Dragon season 2.
Yay!
And that one will be on Monday night. And that will be starting June 7th. That one is locked in. That one is. The Acolyte, if we're going to do it, it's going to be on Sunday in the evening. So we're going to see what's going to be happening with Star Trek as well. We are returning to Battlestar Galactica. How apropos, back to Galactica again. That's going to be happening soon. I don't know how often we're talking about it. But there's a lot of stuff that we have going on the network. It is just to let our audience know, when the arc returns, we're not 100% certain as to when or how we're going to do it. As you know, many of our guests are in Serbia. So if you remember what happened, Michael, what was the start time? Was it 2 p.m. Eastern?
Anywhere from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern.
That will probably happen again on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to bear with us. But as to when we're going to do the review, we're kind of thinking the episode reviews. We're kind of thinking that might be on a Friday, but we don't know yet. There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's other shows that may join the network, and it just depends when they are scheduled.
And giving a future tease, I understand that Greg, fan of the Ring of Power, I think he's going to want to do season 2. So here's another one where I struggled to get through it, but I got through it because I made the commitment. But I don't know if Greg's going to want to do the Rings of Power season 2, because there is a season 2. I think it's going to be in 2025, but I don't know. I have no idea. But I think we're going to be doing that one moving forward as well. and there are a few other programs when Strange New Worlds, when Andor, when the Lower Decks, when they're we're gonna do that one as well. I heard the Obi-Wan movie, the second series was canceled, but then it was quickly retracted. So I don't know. There may be a second Obi-Wan as well. I think we're going to review that one. So
Might not be called Obi-Wan. I mean, Book of Boba Fett should have been Mandalorian season 3,
Yeah.
and could have been. Boba Fett's a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But and even then the nature of Mandalorian's up in the air. I mean, some think that he's retired. And
Well, there's going to be a movie, isn't there?
Is there?
is there?
I heard there was going to be a movie. Mando
Well,
and
I'm
Grogu.
still waiting for the old Republic, but stories. But we'll see.
Oh, that one is also in the works. That one I understand
Yeah.
is. Well, the Acolyte. There's a lot of stuff going around, but I understand the Acolyte takes place 100 years before the Phantom Menace. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Wonder who the Acolyte is. If there's a tie-in there. Could be
Yeah.
Palpatine.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't
No,
think about
no, no.
Oh, that's funny. Did not think about that. Well, I just think that this sort of a prequel is better than others, where it's just in a complete outside of the time frame of what we know. But then 100 years is only so much. But again,
Well, I
what do I
enjoyed
know?
some of the video games, and I know that there's an MMO that's supposed to take place in that era that's very popular.
Is that Tales of the High Republic or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
And it's I haven't played it. I mean, because
Nor have I.
they change it faster than I can keep up with it and enjoy it. They have these seasons and it changes all the time, and so I don't keep up with those kinds of games. But I love the look of it when I tried it, and
Oh.
I think it'd be really cool to see. The downside is that it makes me think that the whole Star Wars galaxy is stagnated as far as technology is concerned.
Mm. Yeah. Well, it would be interesting to see if they ever do the Jedi stories from 10,000 years ago, where the lightsaber. Remember the story of how the lightsabers are? That'd be creative. How they were like jetpacks, like Ghostbusters. But we'll see.
Oh, I would love for them to do that. I would love that if the stuff that they've done in Ahsoka is kind of like a lead back to, the origin stories and all of that.
Well, didn't we kind of discuss that with Ahsoka?
We did. And I'm just echoing that because I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure there's others, but I'm sure other people would be bored with it. They want, the adventure and the, not the lore.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. You think it's time to shut this episode down? And
Yes, Greg's rambling. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about wrap it up.
Yeah. I suppose it is time for it to call us. For us to call it. I want to thank the audience that's been on with us. We appreciate it. We know you're watching. We wish you'd comment a little bit more, but we're still very happy that you guys are on with us. We also understand that some of you watch this after the fact, and I get it. And it's all good. It was a wonderful journey. We appreciate everyone, as I mentioned a moment ago, and we look forward to it. We're not done. We're going to be doing some other stuff right here because this is my happy place. So we'll see. We'll see what else we'll do. Maybe next time, Greg, I'll wear my the periodic table, which is really cool. I think it starts with Luke or something. But anyway, Gina was not.
A Star Wars T-shirt tonight.
I know you're the one always prepared, and but it is what it is, folks. And
now my background failed me when my camera decided the wire got loose.
Well, hopefully you're able to fix that soon enough, folks. Head on over to ndbmedia.net so you can stay up on everything that's going on the network. And we do want to tell you that we will not be doing Discovery this Saturday, as we are not doing Sports Talk with the Guys this Saturday. The network is going silent for a day. As you know, we have a guest from time to time that's in here commenting, but she's also been on other programs with us. Aisha. Aisha's mother passed away this Friday, and Janet was a very big part of our universe, and she is now gone beyond the rim. NDB Media is going silent next Saturday, so we're gonna keep it cool for a little bit. Other than that, Gina was not here. I miss Gina. I really would have loved to have her commentary as well. But I want to thank Omega. I want to thank Darth Gregorius. Obviously, I want to thank Bobby Nash for joining us for this final one. Michael Day for doing quite a bit on this program. And I'm saddened that it's come to an end, but I'm so looking forward to seeing what else is upcoming. I really am saddened the Bad Batch is over. But thank God that our worst nightmares didn't come to pass.
Here,
Because
here.
it did look bad. So, all right. I'm going to ask Greg to take us out on this episode.
Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment even after the fact. We'll go back and read them. And may all of you have the Force be with you always.